just going to get started. And as people arrive, I can share more information. First thing I'm going to do, and this is actually due to some data, of course, about how to detox the brain. Very interesting information. And even this powder has something to do with it. This is actually from a website called ishoppurium.com. Oh yeah, people keep wanting to know how to spell it. It's ishoppurium is P-U-R-I-U-M as in Mary. So ishoppurium.com. And the discount code is uprising144K. Well, ultimately, what appears to be shown by the data, I will say, I'm not giving you guys any medical advice. I'm not making any medical claims. Everything I'm saying today is simply the opinion of the speaker and should not be construed as any claim for or against any product or products. Okay, with that being said, so the first thing that continues to be discovered by the whole scientific world, which to me it's, dare I say, it's kind of obvious at this point, which is nutritional deficiencies. We continue to learn more and more about how nutritional deficiencies are so important, like so important not to have them. And this is how one of the ways that I overcome them, actually. That's why I put the powder in the smoothie. So that's the first. And then I'll go over some of the data here in a second. Turmeric, this is actually part of it too, according to the data. Wow, thanks for the thumbs up, by the way. So turmeric is just so good in so many ways. And this one actually, the research on turmeric, the recent research, there's always new stuff coming out. It appears to really help with leaky gut. So that's another really important one. You do not want leaky gut. And leaky gut primarily seems to be actually caused by the food we ingest. So that's an interesting one. This one is just some minerals. I'm really big on minerals. I'm really big on like basically everything that overcomes any nutritional deficiency. So minerals included. Okay. This I'm just throwing in there. This is actually lab tested B12. This has just been shown to have a positive effect, quote unquote, on, let's just say, potentially being anti-cancerous. So I'll put that in there today. I don't normally put it in all the time. It's something that if I suspected or was trying to avoid cancer or maybe had it and maybe want to slow it down or something, I'd be using this for sure. Now this is from rncstore.com. Discount code uprising144K. Now, let's see here. Going back to the data about how to detox the brain, which in my opinion, and actually it's not just my opinion, it appears to be based on the data, what that means for cognitive health, dementia, Alzheimer's, things of that nature. These are some flax seeds I put in there. Okay. Put those away. Let's see, what else am I missing? I always put my powders first. If you ever notice, I always put the powders first. This one you don't have to do, but raw cacao, also good for cognitive care or cognitive health. Tastes good also. Really good minerals. I always like to get really the majority of my minerals from my food. So that's another reason. So does anybody want to know, can you guys even hear me, actually? Let me know if you can hear me. I've had trouble with the microphone lately. Okay, let's move it on here. Okay. So the big secret, how do you detox the brain according to research? Well, this is one of them right here. Rich leafy greens. Can you believe that? Rich leafy greens. The data is showing that we should have at least 2 servings throughout the day, or I basically eat it, at least twice during the day. And what the data was also showing was that if you can step it up, it was kind of funny what they said. They said if you could step it up to 3 times a day, to where you would be consuming it not only 3 times a day, but throwing it in a smoothie. That's what they were saying, because otherwise, how do you consume these greens? To me, it's not hard for me anymore. I've gotten really, really used to it. But back in the day when I was trying to figure this all out, I'm like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to eat all these greens? They're just not satisfying. I don't think I could eat the right amounts that I would need for them to be quote unquote potentially medicinal, you know, all this type of stuff. And the smoothies, according to the data also, apparently by grinding them up in a blender, it basically appears to show that it actually enhances them even more, by triple the amount, if you can believe that. And so I thought, wow, I guess, you know, I've been doing the right things. And it appears to even help with macular degeneration or eye conditions, which was interesting. Preferably in their early stages, or excuse me, just woke up this morning. Let's see here. Yeah, for basically eye conditions, and as I've been saying for a long time, and I believe, I believe the data already shows this, that your eyes appear to be part of your brain. Let's see here. Everybody says, I hear you fine, can't hear you, can hear you. Mercury retrograde microphone difficulty is imperceptible on this end, mate. Have you checked out Purium's pineal clear yet, by the way? Yeah, and look, Purium products, I really like them. They're very high quality, super clean. But you know, to clean the pineal gland, that's a whole other thing. In my opinion, well, the data's already shown to detox the brain is with greens. And I already used the Purium powder, the greens. But to really also to enhance it, in my opinion, actually, it's all about the hydrogen, because the hydrogen goes right past the blood-brain barrier. Making sure that you have no nutritional deficiencies is important, because then the body just doesn't run right. In fact, there's some new data showing it's kind of odd. There's certain things in our life, like there's certain people who claim, and I don't, and I believe them. They claim that they can't even eat vegetables. You know, that they have issues with the digestion of vegetables and things of that nature. New data suggests, I'm always looking at the latest information. And by the way, thanks for all the thumbs up. I saw that you guys did that. So thank you for that. But it really looks like what happens is things like glyphosate, these pesticides, are really affecting the way that our bodies work, which to me, here's more rich leafy greens, more of them. In fact, I'm using the big blender today instead of my vacuum blender because I got a lot to do today. And I really need I need extra today, and I'm gonna potentially be sharing this smoothie with others too. So I gotta make the big one today. It's all good though. I love my vacuum blender. All right. Let's go ahead and keep moving forward. So we're going to start with the rich leafy greens, because this is the thing. People really do have a hard time consuming enough rich leafy greens. And so I don't think, you could use the Purium product for the pineal gland. I just don't think it's totally necessary. I think hydrogen is way, way better. Actually, rich leafy greens, also mushrooms. There's a specific ingredient in mushrooms that is showing to have a very positive effect also. And let's see, rich leafy greens, mushrooms, and then of course, vitamin D is very important in my opinion. Which basically, when I say vitamin D, I'm talking about, overcoming any nutritional deficiency, and that includes vitamin D. Maybe I should try to bring the camera closer, huh? Whoops, there we go. So you can see the smoothie that I'm making. So yeah, the pesticides really affect the way that the body functions, which is one of the reasons, one, I try to minimize pesticide consumption by buying organic as much as possible. I also clean my water to the highest degree, which is with the carbon distiller from the website mypurewater.com. And mypurewater.com, the discount code if you wanted it would be uprising144K. And then hydrogen, because hydrogen, molecular hydrogen specifically, no garbage hydrogens, no cheap, pills or Brown's gas stuff, like really the medical grade good stuff. That one is from holyhydrogen.com. And if you want a discount code on that, you can do the same thing, uprising144K. That one appears to actually help the body, protect the body. It's one of the reasons, it was literally one of the first things that intrigued me about hydrogen is how protective it is. Okay, let's see here. Cece says, hi, you have said before about avoiding pork. What are the reasons for this? Oh my gosh. Well, pork, first you have to look at the data. Now, this is what's ironic about the data. There is a lot of data that shows that pork is extremely bad for you, but even the ancient scriptures knew it. That's what's so crazy. Even books, like even the Bible talks about do not eat pork. And I thought, wow, that's kind of wild. But mostly because pork, like some of the research I've looked at, I'm really big on overcoming, yes, nutritional deficiencies, but also parasites, bringing the parasitic number down in the body. Why? Parasites, well, first, the reason it started with me was actually first because I had this really wild experience that, you know, remember, I'm a skeptic, so it takes a lot to really convince someone like me. I got to see some really either good data or I literally have to experience it myself. And that would go for like a lot of things. I have to see it, experience it myself. Well, in this particular situation, I was really sick. I was trying to heal. Obviously, you guys know my story probably. And one of the things that I was trying to do is I was trying everything. In fact, I was trying everything so that I could eventually share the information with people about what actually worked and what didn't. It would have been a really great journey to film, but I didn't have there was no budget. I basically had lost just about everything really because I couldn't work and all this stuff. It was really tough, but I did this one very interesting cleanse that to this day still boggles my mind. And you could see all the worms and parasites and crazy stuff come out of you, which again, hard to believe. I really, really, really had a hard time believing, you know, that anything like that was inside of me. And when it came out, and this is not just for me, this has happened to many people, it had a profound effect on me and the way that my mind, quote unquote, works. The way that you see the world, the way you feel. I mean, it was wild, like really, really wild. It almost felt like, you know what it felt like? Have you guys seen the movie The Matrix? Anybody? Well, if you've ever seen the Matrix, do you remember that one time where, let's see, it says, would you supplement, say, lutein or zeaxanthin for the eyes? No, for the eyes, I would do, well, first, overcome any nutritional deficiency. That's always the, you know, kind of the first thing, and always get super clean water. I mean, to me, those are just, dare I say, just basics. And the thing is, when you're talking about nutrients and overcoming nutritional deficiencies, like for example, let me go grab it again. Let's see here. I just try to focus on getting all the nutrients. That's why if you look on the list of nutrients, this literally looks like a multivitamin, but then also get that vitamin D, because usually food doesn't have that. I don't do a lot of supplements. I just don't, because I'm not a fan actually. Most of the products, when I look at like a lab test or something, they always have some stuff in there that is not good. You don't really know who's making these pills. That's why there's very few companies that I trust, and I have to see, you know, some good lab reports. That's why I'm such a fan of Purium, because their lab reports were like crazy good. And for eyes, I would do a lot of the hydrogen. I would do, well, the data is showing a lot of rich leafy greens, which I do anyway. I mean, that's literally what I would do, but I've seen a lot of good results literally just with hydrogen. So the combination, though my eyes, I had my eyes checked. What are the nutrients in raisins? Specifically boron is what I like in raisins, a natural form of boron. There is a huge difference in my opinion between, and this is all data driven, there's a difference between getting the food from your nutrients than from a supplement, which is one of the reasons that I use a lot of foods. Like these are really good fats, oils. This is actually good for, the science shows it's really good for being anti-cancerous in the brain, walnuts. Okay, moving on. And let's see, I'm gonna put some, let's put some hydrogen water in here. Already made that, and I already drank, I guess you guys didn't see this on camera because I didn't start the video yet, but of course I drank a bunch of hydrogen water, empty stomach, after cleaning my mouth. That's always the way to start the day. And then the second thing is getting all these nutrients in me, which is what this smoothie is all about. These are hydrogen chia seeds. They've been soaked in them, so they bring a lot of fiber. Oh, by the way, that was more data that came through. Now remember, the gut is connected to the brain basically, and they were showing that large amounts of fiber, again, I've been preaching this for a while now, and again, they're showing that fiber is extremely good for leaky gut. And you don't want leaky gut because leaky gut toxifies your blood. You want really good, clean blood full of nutrients, guys, and very low amount of parasites. In fact, that kind of brings me back to, hold on, the whole parasite topic that somebody was asking about pork. You know, it's not that, for example, it's not that there's no nutrients in pork, but pork is also way too similar, in my opinion, to the human body. There's a reason that they use pigs to grow things like hearts and stuff for humans. And there's just something too similar about pigs and humans. And so, and on top of that, there was a research study that I read about pigs and pork. And oh my gosh, it was actually pretty horrible. What it showed was, well, I'll share that story. Let me see if I'll read some of your comments here. I've started to drink mushroom coffee. Woohoo, there you go. Helen, how is your experience with mush coffee? Yeah, I had some right here. I think I shared it with you guys on the video. And if you use the link, I think they give you a discount, or it helps, you know, the channel a little bit. I think they give me a little something, not much, but it's mostly because it's a good product. But yeah, mushrooms are extremely important for cognitive health. And see, to me, anything that is good for cognitive health basically is going to be good for the brain and your eyes, obviously, because again, the eyes appear to basically be part of the brain. And I've been noticing a pattern, and the pattern is whatever's good for the brain is good for the eyes, whatever's good for the eyes is good for the brain. And I just recently went actually to get my eyes checked, and I thought I did a video on it. Maybe I just talked about it when I make my morning smoothies or whatever. But it was a funny story because I remember when the doctor informed me that, because I ask a lot of questions, and I'm always trying to learn and things that I can share and things that I can improve in my life. And they were telling me that they can actually tell roughly a person's age by looking at their eyes. And I never knew that. I knew that about dentistry. I did not necessarily know that about the eyes. And he was also explaining to me that pretty much everybody, or like I said, almost everybody, I guess, eventually they start building up the cataracts. And of course, I have certain high risks because of, you know, family history and yada, yada, yada. And obviously, I've had a lot of health issues too. So I got my eyes looked at. And when he was looking at my eyes, he acted pretty surprised. And mostly when he finally saw my chart, you know, your chart shows your age anyway. So he saw that. And then he was so surprised. And I was very curious. I'm like, well, why are you so surprised? What's the deal? And he's like, if I didn't know whose eyes I was looking at, I would have guessed these are like 18, 20-year-old eyes. He goes, you have like, I mean, they're really, really, I don't want to use the word perfect, but yeah, they look extremely young and healthy. And then he goes, when I saw, you know, whose eyes I was looking at as far as their chart, he said I was shocked. And then of course, they ask a lot of questions, you know, asking, are you doing something specifically? And then, you know, I'm always talking about, it's always the same thing, guys, because health is not complicated. Everybody, I feel like this is kind of weird, right? Meaning health, you know, first, you know, clean your water. I mean, you have to start with clean water only because there's so much stuff in it that's just so crazy. Let's see, Helen says, I like it more when I add a little raw local honey to it. Yes, I like raw honey in my coffee. Reliable Andrew says, speaking of the brain, would you use nootropics? Again, I'm not saying that they're bad. I just don't think that they're necessary. I think you can just save the money and you don't have to buy a ton of products. You know, this is kind of funny, right? Some people, you know, they're like, oh, you know, it's funny how many health influencers, you know, want you to buy 100 different products. They always have the next best thing, you know, every so many weeks or every so many months, and there's always the new thing, there's always a new product, there's always a new supplement, and you end up with this like cupboard full of supplements. And when I started seeing the pattern, meaning like, well, wait a second, am I supposed to take 100 pills every single day? Or, you know, not only did it get expensive, at some point, when you're taking too many supplements and you actually look at the lab tests of what's in them, you begin to realize that they can really potentially strain the kidneys. I've seen that. In fact, there's been some bad information out there, or quote unquote information that has come out that is bad about certain supplements and how they affect the kidneys, the liver. I mean, there's even a woman who died, actually. So to me, you want to do the least amount. That's kind of wild, right? You know, the least amount to get the desired goal. And like I said, the desired goal is going to be overcome any nutritional deficiency and be really well hydrated. And then, of course, there is even more data, but we already know that hydrogen is amazing for us. But there is more data that appears to be showing even more benefits of hydrogen. So that have to do with really showing the body how to function properly again, which I think is one of the reasons that apparently I'm absorbing nutrients in a way that apparently boggles the mind even of physicians. It almost doesn't make sense, but I think it showcases that simple things like the ones that I'm doing really do actually really work and help. And I'm very, of course, I'm very happy about it because this has been my goal. And sometimes you go down a path and sometimes it doesn't work. So you go down a road of eating a certain way and drinking and making water a certain way. And after all this time, the good news is that it really does appear to actually be working. And I've done so much different, you know, blood work and, you know, getting my kidneys looked at, my bladder looked at, my eyes looked at, you know, obviously dental stuff. I mean, just, I've done so much to make sure that this really, truly works. And you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to do extra celery today. I think I'm just going to do that. Yeah, I should do that. Okay. So I think that the goal is actually the minimum amount of supplements. That's interesting, right? But, you know, you have to do it, I don't want to say just right, but yeah, kind of. You got to do it just right because otherwise you could potentially, like, again, you really want to make sure that you're getting absolutely all your nutrients. I just can't emphasize that enough. That if any health, quote unquote, guru or even doctor, and I've only actually met one, can you believe that? And it was actually somebody who is a relative who had their doctor. First thing they wanted to do was, let's go into nutritional deficiencies. And I was like, wow, you never hear a doctor, I'll say almost never, clearly not never, but almost never go on and on about nutritional deficiencies. And I'm telling you, because the data is so clear on it, I don't understand it. Let's see here. Somebody says, what are they saying? Speaking of the brain, would you use, oh wait, no, that's one word. Cece says, would you try to make sure your toothpaste is fluoride free? Well, I mean, mine is fluoride free. I don't do the fluoride thing. So, you know, I just get some natural toothpastes. Let's see here. Next person says, Laura, you look the same as 6-year-old video. It's amazing how you keep that youthful experience. Well, thank you. You know, it's funny that you say that actually, because whenever I run into old friends, it comes up. In fact, there's a guy that I recently made friends with. You know, I like to go to the sauna, and really great guy. We have some fun conversations. And, you know, he was telling me about life and how tough life is sometimes. And, all these different things. And he's like, you know, when you get to my age, it's always that. I don't know why people always bring it up, but you know, it always happens. And we went on about, or he went on about that, but then eventually we did talk about age stuff because it kept coming up a lot. And then it turned out that, yeah, he was definitely younger than me. And he just couldn't believe it. He thought I was actually kind of joking with him or something. Because, you know, the guys, we were in the locker room, just joking around, you know, in the sauna. I'll tell you one thing, in the sauna, you're very exposed, right? You're not really wearing anything. And then he was really curious about my skin. He's like, your skin, like, you know, because I mean, he looks pretty good, but yeah, he's like concerned about wrinkles and all this stuff, and he's aging. And that's when he started asking a lot of questions about health. And in fact, he just went and got a carbon distiller, along with a reverse osmosis system. He's totally cleaned up his water. He started getting a little more, he started doing a little more, he may start making some changes. And that's been going on for, I don't know, a month or two. You can already see there's changes. And he's so happy about it. And he says he feels better too. So I've been giving him little tips here and there on how he can potentially improve his life. And so it's been really positive, you know. But yeah, it comes up a lot. It's always a subject actually that I try to stay away from. And you know, the only reason is because of a study. And I won't go into detail, I guess, with the study. I'll just tell you that it was a really interesting study because I was actually really shocked. I mean, I guess I could go into detail. It would be a while, but hey, I'm just making a smoothie. All right, just put beets in there. And, you know, ultimately, I'll just say that thinking about age and having in your head the idea is been shown. Now, this is just a study. I'll just say that the study shows that even psychology and the thoughts that you think really truly have an effect on your, not only your well-being, I mean, we know that, but even certain things that they were measuring in the study. I mean, things like bone density, guys, it was crazy. I just couldn't believe it. I was shocked at this study. I'm not kidding you. That's the reason that I just try to stay away from that topic. I mean, we can talk about anti-aging. I'll tell you, you know what it really comes down to? I mean, really, really comes down to is just you want to make sure, again, that the body has no nutritional deficiencies, that it's well hydrated. You know, hydration is really key. And low stress is good. Breathing techniques, exercise. You know, exercise is nice to like blow off steam. Even if you just do the minimum, like go for a little walk. There's research in regards to depression. And literally just a 20 to 30 minute walk a day appears to work better than any antidepressant on the market. And I'll tell you one thing, why is depression up? You know, since we came out with antidepressants, if they're working, why are the rates up? You know? So I don't know, shouldn't we all just be super happy? In fact, what really shocks me, I'll tell you what really shocks me is how many people are on antidepressants. In fact, in the water, there's 3 pharmaceutical drugs in high levels. And those 3 pharmaceutical drugs are antidepressants, which means that a lot of people are taking them, guys. That means that you're peeing them out. The other high-level pharmaceutical is antibiotics, which makes a lot of sense. And then the last pharmaceutical at high levels is, let's see, which one was it? Yeah. Oh, women's contraception, actually. So those are 3 things that are potentially, at least in my opinion, and this is kind of based on some data, is that those are the things that are in our water. And think about how those things are going to mess with you. Antidepressants messing with your brain. In fact, long-term research on antidepressants, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it appears that it really causes issues with the brain, even to the point of potentially being something that'll affect you in regards to Alzheimer's, dementia in the future, you know, with long-term usage. But I'm not making a claim with that one. I'm just saying potentially. You know, obviously women's contraception, I understand that, but the issue with that is how it affects you hormonally. And can you imagine if you're drinking that in your water all the time? You're drinking women's contraception, antidepressants, and then antibiotics. You know what that does to your gut flora, which is responsible for almost 80% of your immune system. So those are things that I do not want in my water. I want my water absolutely super clean, pretty much empty for the most part. And people always say, well, hey, those carbon distillers, I mean, they remove all the minerals. That's what people always tell me. And it's like, look, first of all, you really should be getting the majority of your minerals actually from food. And minerals work really beautifully with fiber. That's the reason that whoever created fruits and vegetables, the creator of the universe, you know, whoever that may be, clearly knew what he was doing. Because if you look at fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and beans and all this stuff, they literally have everything. They have fiber, minerals, antioxidants, phytonutrients, all sorts of other strange properties too, depending on the food. Like carrots are extremely good for you. Obviously beta carotene, yada, 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 and all this stuff. So we don't have to overcomplicate health. And I think sometimes when you overcomplicate it, you actually kind of miss the point of how things work with the human body. Gotta keep it simple. That's what I've learned. And that's what I've applied. And that's what's worked for me. You know, kind of surprised. I mean, honestly, I am surprised. It's not like, I didn't totally expect this journey to turn out like this, but I guess life is like that, right? Life is a journey. You never expect it to turn out like that. And I'm gonna put more hydrogen water just because I have it, but also because I saw another study that blew my mind. One of these days I'm gonna have to get the footage of that and show you guys. But basically all it did was show that the fruits and vegetables, when you would put the hydrogen, they would test the power, the antioxidative power of the fruit and vegetable without hydrogen, and they actually compared even organic versus non-organic foods, and they found that organic food had higher levels of antioxidants, which is a good thing, and of nutrients, which is also a good thing. And then when you soak them in the hydrogen, they just enhanced, like big time, the antioxidants. So the properties of the food, it's magical. And I'm going to answer a lot of your questions. I know a lot of people are making comments. Somebody says, is there a hydrogen protocol for insomnia? Yeah, you know, insomnia, that's a tricky one, honestly. Insomnia is tricky because you have the result as far as like, hey, I have insomnia. But what can be potentially causing it could be a lot of different things. Let me blend this up. I'm going to sit down, and while I drink it, I'll answer all your questions. So hold on a second. I have 3 more ingredients that really transform this thing. So let's do this. Of course, the question is, will it blend? Let's see. Sometimes tapping it like this really helps. But I've put a lot of stuff in there, and most people, yeah, it'll probably break your blender. Well, it's working. All right, let's see here. Where is the cup I like to use? I like this cup. All right, let's try it again. Ingredients. Now, to absorb nutrients and to create more testosterone, some healthy fats are good too. I'll show you. I tell you, I got all these videos and I feel like I never have time to I haven't made so many. There's so many testimonials I've gotten, I still haven't posted them. All I ever do is at least get online and do this live smoothie for you guys. Well, I mean, I make it anyway, right? This is for me every morning. Go with that. Hopefully it's blended. Okay, so here's the first magic ingredient. I don't do a lot of supplementation, as you guys know. I try to do the least amount, but there is one thing that, in my opinion, beyond the shadow of a doubt, absolutely needs to be supplemented, and that's vitamin D3 with K2 in its ionic form, but basically just vitamin D. Why vitamin D? Well, the research from the #1 researcher, I believe in the world, doctor who actually runs a hospital. He's done so much great research, but man, for cognitive health, anti-cancer, for bone strength, for obviously extremely good immune system, from heart health. I mean, just so many things. Vitamin D, and we keep learning more. And this is kind of an oil and a fat, which I like too. It works really perfect with what I'm doing here. The other oils and fats I put in here were like the flax seeds, the walnuts. Those are the main ones. But there's little things here and there. Now this is another ingredient, hemp hearts. If you look at the ingredients, or not the ingredients, the nutrients in hemp hearts, guys, there's only one ingredient. This stuff looks like a multivitamin all of its own. More healthy fats, more protein. This is actually a balanced protein. You want balanced protein. All the proteins are different. And this is omega-3 to 6 ratio is like literally perfection. I don't think there's any other food in the world that does it like this. And it tastes good on top of it. So that's got a really nice nutty flavor to it. And let's go ahead and go over here and I'll answer your questions and be able to read your comments. Hold on. That's really good. That turned out good today. And I'll go ahead and also show you the last ingredient actually. This one, obviously I created myself and I'm surprised how good it works. Nobody does it, probably because they don't know. And of course you wouldn't want to do it with the wrong equipment because then it could be potentially harmful. And that's inhaling pure molecular hydrogen, meaning really medical grade, therapeutic grade, really clean stuff. I'm sure you guys know that I'm not a fan of most hydrogen machines out there. Unfortunately, if they were good, I'd be a fan. I wish they were good. You know what? Let me set this. Hold on a second. That is very good. It's like the best breakfast ever. You know, and I'm not just saying that. It feels so good. That's the reason that I'm so inspired to make it every morning, because if I don't have it, I absolutely miss it. So that's that. Okay, let's see if that's a little better. Okay, here we go. Now I can read your stuff better. Oh, if I can make room. My hydrogen machines are in the way. Okay, let's see here. Let's see if anybody even asked any questions. I feel like I gotta scroll through all of them. Okay. Martine says, hi, Martine here. Could you write down what you use? List, like make a list, or is there a website I can visit and find this info? Thanks. Yeah, that's kind of the sad part, isn't it? That you can see me putting the ingredients. I usually say every ingredient. I have other videos where I've gone over a lot of the ingredients. I do modify it all the time, but for the most part, it's very similar. I'll add a new thing like the turmeric powder. I always wanted to put turmeric. The only problem with that was that it's so expensive, and I found a place where I could put it in there. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. I would always try to find foods that are local to you that you can find at a reasonable price, unless you're rich, of course. Look for carrots, beets, rich leafy greens. I mean, that's literally the whole reason for today's video is talking about how to detox the brain. I mean, if you even knew that that was possible, and it appears to be the rich leafy greens. Of course, in my opinion, hydrogen is extremely helpful for that too. And so when I inhale it while I eat, I do that for many reasons. One of them, there are certain negative aspects of eating just about basically any food. And the hydrogen, in my opinion, helps litigate that while I'm eating, and also helping the absorption of all these nutrients and whatnot. So, yeah. My protocol. And I don't have a website. Remember, I mean, I'm literally running this channel on what you would call a shoestring budget, because I didn't want to charge anybody. I wanted everybody to have everything for free. And so I don't have a website or anything like that. Pretty much can't, I mean, I guess I could start, I didn't want to like start spending money and creating a website and showing all this stuff and becoming I didn't want that to become a job, you know. I just wanted to do some YouTube videos to share the information for you guys. And that's, you know, how simple. Cece says, how often do you eat natto? Kind of depends. I mean, I'll go a week or weeks or even months where I eat it once a day. Once a day was kind of least what I wanted to get. Once in a while, I would do twice a day. And then some days I'll just skip. Like right now, I've been getting so many nutrients, and I just kind of felt like I didn't need it that much. So I've probably been eating it like 3-4 times a week, something like that. The doctors in Japan who do understand natto, because in America or any other country they don't, they say no more than don't eat natto more than 3 times a day. Way too much protein. You know, too much protein is not actually, and it depends on the protein, but it's not actually good for you. It can strain the kidneys. It actually shortens telomeres. Well, that's actually depending on the type of protein, so I take that back. Which obviously accelerates aging and things of that nature. But yeah, that's how often I eat it. Hopefully that answers your question. Turned out good today because I put 2 bananas, if you noticed. There's this place I go to where they sell them cheap if they're starting to turn and go bad. So I buy them and then I use extra ones. Okay, Lisa says, is there a hydrogen protocol for insomnia? You know, the protocol, I mean, hydrogen water, the protocol's on video 337. The one that I personally have created and follow. The weird thing is I get a little conflicting information, and I say little because the majority of people say one thing and there's a small, very small group of people. I think it's only been like, literally like 2 people, maybe 3, who say that hydrogen keeps them awake. The majority of people, when they inhale the hydrogen at night, and the science seems to really support this, because it appears that it helps, you know, the hydrogen helps bring down what's called stress hormones, which to me means you would sleep good and sleep better. I'll tell you what's really bad for insomnia is exercising late at night. So that is something that is not good, but inhaling the hydrogen calms stress hormones, helps with sleep, but it really depends on what's causing the insomnia. What if it's a nutritional deficiency? What if it's even certain parasites? What if it's just bad habits? You know, like looking at the phone or the computer or whatever. It could be a lot of things. So Martine says, why don't you get profit from the products you promote? Well, I get a little bit. I don't choose the product based on the commissions. And a lot of the products that I really like, one thing that I discovered in the health world is the higher quality the product, and they're usually the companies that want to do really, really good things, then a lot of times their profits are less. And then those companies have a really hard time making some type of like payout or commission stuff. And the companies that make crappy products, which end up being the most popular because everybody wants to promote them because they offer big commissions and stuff like that. You know, do I get some commission? Yeah, I mean, I just literally just did my tax stuff, and I could tell you, you know, how much I made, and it really, I mean, it could almost be embarrassing, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but yeah, not enough to really like. I mean, I could open the website, I could go big, I could try to pay to get my videos shot to the top. I could do all these things, but it becomes kind of not just a job, which I don't want it to really become. I like to do things like from my heart and just when I feel like doing it and stuff like that, rather than, you know, having to write up, you know, bill people and set up appointments and, you know, all these type of things. Do conferences and do consultations. And I mean, like I said, I'm already busy. I'm so busy already, but I could do it, but I can just put these videos out for you guys for free. So, okay, Elaine says, is it possible to use RO water for the hydrogen water while I wait for the distiller to get delivered? Of course, in my opinion, yeah. Or should I wait until I have the distiller? No, you can use RO water. I mean, you could use any kind of water, okay? The truth is just that obviously, in my opinion, what you're doing is you're using the water as a carrier. So of course you want the cleanest water, but RO water is still good. It's second best, so. In fact, I have the RO system right now and I put that in the distiller. That really finishes the job as far as really, truly purifying water. So, in my opinion, watch my video 388. I show the lab reports. Helen says, after inhaling the hydrogen for at least an hour at night, I feel very relaxed. Well, see, yeah, that's exactly, honestly, that's exactly what's supposed to happen. It brings down the stress hormones and it gets your body in a nice rhythm. I discovered that with somebody that I personally knew, and they started seeing the pattern, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, because there was no research on that. This was a long time ago, by the way, years ago. And so, yeah, hydrogen just really brings nice balance to the body. So, yeah. Let's see, I could probably keep my, Helen says, I could barely keep my eyes open last night while doing the inhalation. I totally get it. Like, I'm going to scroll through here and see if I missed anybody's questions. Let's see, back to the beginning. This is funny. Somebody says, Mercury retrograde microphone difficulty. That's, oh, I see. It's celestial causing the problems, huh? Cece says, oh yeah, about avoiding pork. Yeah, I was telling you the research on that. Yeah. Think of it this way. And this is a real simple way I like to keep things as simple as possible. You start overcomplicating them, things get crazy. And in my opinion, what happens is, if you were to eat any animals, in my opinion, which ones are the cleanest ones? Now remember, even ancient scripture, even things like the Bible, talks about, the hydrogen sometimes has like a little moisture in your nose. There's a difference between what they call clean animals and not clean animals. And I think ultimately, the biggest difference I've noticed is animals that are vegetarian. So if that tells you anything, because ironically, a lot of the research shows that about even human blood. And the vegetarian animals are the cleaner ones. So like, for example, beef. A cow should be eating just a bunch of grass. But, you're not going to want to eat, I don't know, a cat or a dog or, I don't know, mountain lion or something. I don't know. And when it comes to pigs, the problem with pigs is they'll just eat anything. I mean, maybe that's why they use the word pigs. They just eat anything. And then the research on the parasites, I'll tell you the research that was done. It was a major university. They had like 4 pigs, and they cooked them at each stage. So that first they would cook them, to a certain degree. Then they would cook them even more and more, and to the point where the very last one was so charcoaled and burnt and completely unedible. They just totally ruined the pig, the pork. And the very last one, when they tested parasites, they all still had them. And even the one that was burned to an utter crisp still had about 32% of the parasites still alive. So it was wild. And I like to avoid those. I was saying earlier about this cleanse that I did. And when they come out from you, it literally feels like something is unplugging, like unjacking from your brain. It's like just unplugged. And man, the difference, even the way that I looked at the world, my mind went to a very peaceful state. I was in awe. I loved it. And ever since I experienced that, and then also lining up the research, putting everything all together, it just began to make sense. I didn't ever want to lose that feeling again. I want to feel like that, which a lot of it to me has to do with the cleanliness, clean blood, clean body, clean GI system, bringing down inflammation, stuff that's good for the brain, hydrogen, the rich leafy greens, which the data is now showing to be extremely good for the brain. Mushrooms also. I'm big on mushrooms, guys. Big shroomer. Okay. Let's see if I missed anything else. Somebody was asking about the raisins earlier. Yeah, boron. That's my favorite ingredient in them, but they also have other minerals, obviously, and they taste sweet too, so they're nice. When it comes to coffee, yeah, I'm really big on organic coffee because coffee is one of the most heavily sprayed crops in existence. I believe number 2. And so if you're drinking non-organic type of coffee, for me, it's like a cup full of chemicals. And then they put them in these plastic cups that are lined with this type of plastic, which is because otherwise cardboard would just soak up the water. And that actually has been tested positive for PFAS, which we know causes cancer, which is another horrible thing. So you got a chemical cup with the lining from, you know, this plasticky material. And then on top of it all, what do people like to put? They put a bunch of, you know, sugar or, you know, a lot of dairy products, which it's not that I'm not a fan of dairy. If you look at the human body and the way that it functions, it changes throughout your life. So I personally believe that we should actually eat kind of different depending at what stage and what age we are in our life. And when you're little, you do need the dairy. You need the milk from the mother, though. I wouldn't want to do it from a cow. I want to have it from the mother. The colostrum, the different attributes of the milk that are really good for the baby. And then, of course, they need all those healthy fats during that time. They have a specific enzyme that really helps digest it all, too. And then as you get older, a lot of the people, that enzyme is no longer being made by the body, which is why people become lactose intolerant. I think our body's just telling us, okay, we're done with the milk. Time to move to vegetables and mushrooms and fruits and nuts and, you know, whatever, all sorts of other foods. Okay, let's see here. Speaking of, so reliable, Andrew. So when you were talking about nootropics, I'm kind of wondering, is that thing that Joe Rogan was talking about? He's been promoting some brain thing lately. Tell you one thing though, I would be happy to do a comparison test at any time, like if they did brain scans or anything. Give me a second, I'm gonna grab more of my smoothie. Hold on. Lots of smoothie today. Yeah, that's what I needed. Need some big cups today because I really drink a lot of it. But yeah, I would be down, like you know, a friendly challenge. Like if somebody was like, hey, why don't you challenge Joe Rogan to like almost like a brain scan and brain activity. He seems like a very bright guy. And they can see the health of the brain and brain activity and blood flow, specifically blood flow. Blood flow to the brain is actually really important. And, you know, because if you've ever seen like a dementia patient's brain scans, you know, something like that. Or with Brian Johnson, that guy who puts, what is it, $2 million a year into his health and his body. I mean, I would totally do one with any of those guys, with anyone. I would do a, you know, let's see what our brains look like. And, you know, because I don't think either one of them are really using hydrogen. So, all right, so that would be interesting. You know, as far as toothpaste, somebody had been asking. Yeah, I try to get really natural toothpaste. I always look at ingredients. I never get one with fluoride. And so, you know, to keep your teeth strong and healthy, no nutritional deficiencies, and make sure that you're absorbing nutrients properly and getting all your minerals. Your body will build. In fact, that was one of the funny studies about bones. It was, and I've been doing it almost all along. I put the minerals in the smoothie. So I already have foods that are rich in minerals, but then I even add more because in the research study, now granted I was doing it before that, but then the research study proved something that I didn't know, which was we begin to absorb the minerals even better because of all the fiber content. Fiber really is helping with the absorption of nutrients, which is super important, by the way. And then they found out that the participants were rebuilding their bone. They did not expect people's bones to be rebuilding. And so minerals with fiber, really, really important. Okay, moving on. Yeah, people always want me to write down the recipe, but, you know, I could do it. Again, I just tend to be really busy. And I mean, I've got so many videos where I've made that smoothie, different smoothies, and you can just watch them and see how much I put into them. And if I need a better angle on the camera, I mean, I literally try to point the camera to the smoothie instead of to me so you guys can see it. Okay, let's see, what other questions here? Reliable Andrew, what do you say to people who warn about oxalates in leafy greens? Well, first of all, look, I hate to say this, but it's actually exaggerated because anything, I mean, think about this. What if somebody told you, hey, water's dangerous, dude. You need to not drink so much water, you know? And clearly we need to be drinking more water. But the truth is, anything over 1 liter of water. So 1 liter is the maximum. This is according to scientific data. Anything over a liter in 1 hour is now too much and begins to strain the kidneys. And you can literally die from drinking too much water. And so life is all about balance. And you could try, because life is all about balance, it's very easy to trick people, you know. So you can quote unquote trick people by saying, oh, you know, too much of this is bad or too much of that is bad. I mean, you could try to do it to influence people and convince them of certain ways. But the amount of oxalates you'd have to consume, I mean, I've been doing what I've been doing for over a decade, guys. And I consume so many, well, you saw the amount of vegetables I put in that smoothie. And then for dinner, if you ever want to see my dinner videos, I've done a lot of those. And my blood work only looks better and better. And on top of it all, I do really think this is really important, because these pesticides are affecting our bodies in such ways where potentially our bodies can't deal with things like maybe the oxalates. Maybe they can't even deal with things like certain vegetables, actually. And there's a lot of things that the body just, if it's not functioning right, then other things will begin to cause, it's like cause and effect. It's like this weird domino effect. And that's the reason, based on that data, it just really appears that the hydrogen is even that much more special. Oh, by the way, thanks for all the thumbs up. I just saw, I guess we do have 20 people and we only have 12 thumbs up. So I don't know. It's free, guys. And it just kind of lets me know that you guys are listening and care. So give it a thumbs up. But the thing is that hydrogen, I actually did a video on this. I showed it. There appears to be, the data shows basically that it appears that hydrogen actually helps protect you also from oxalates. And so I think as long as you have, oh, by the way, another thing about oxalates is if you're properly hydrated. So if you're properly hydrated and drink enough water, the body has pretty much no issue flushing any of these type of things out of the body that could potentially cause harm. So on and on it goes. I think it's a very small thing to be worried about, to be quite honest. I'd be much more worried about parasites than oxalates. Parasites, do the research on parasites. It is nuts. I just cannot believe the parasite thing. It just blows my mind. Okay. If I didn't answer your question, we'll come back to it. Let me know. Okay, Martine says, I've been following you for a while, but I still don't know what products you use and how to get them, really. I really think we're on the same wavelength concerning health. Wow, that's kind of surprising. You don't know what products I use or recommend. Okay, I mean, one of them is clean water. And so I just show you, I mean, it doesn't have to be the product that I use, but the one I use is from a website called mypurewater.com. Discount code uprising144K, and it's just like a carbon distiller. It's right there, actually. See, right there. It's all full. All my jugs are full of water, so I'm not running it today. I'm just totally stocked up on water. So that's the first one. Obviously, hydrogen. I mean, this is what I'm really known for, is the hydrogen man. And I know all the hydrogen machines out there, all the different ways of making hydrogen. And obviously, this one's from holyhydrogen.com. If you want a discount code on that one, it's also uprising144K. Then I showed the Purium powder. Purium powder is from iShop Purium, spelled Purium as in Mary. That one has a big discount code. That one's uprising144K also. And those are the main products. It's mostly the Purium, clean water, and hydrogen. Those are like the basics. Beyond that, there's a vitamin D that I've shown. Let's see. And like I said, a lot of these products, if you use a link, I think they give me like 38 cents or something. I mean, again, they're really small stuff, but it all helps though. You know, it all helps. So I really appreciate the support. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, beyond that, there's some antiparasitics that I do use. I don't get anything for those either. There's no discount codes on those. Yeah, just a few things. There's this really cool mushroom product from hman.petclub247.com, I think. And that one is really amazing. Though you could also eat a lot of mushrooms, but if you're dealing with, in my opinion, something like cancer, I would want to be taking those based on some stuff that I've seen. You know, so I'm going to do a video. In fact, it's interesting that you mentioned that, Martine, because somebody made a comment just the other day. I'm going to do a video where I show all the products I use and put all the links and everything else. I need to do that. A lot of people always ask. But beyond clean water and clean, properly made hydrogen in proper levels, it's all about, in my opinion, a lot of the diet and stuff like that. Okay, next one. Elaine says, any advice for pain and stiffness in joints, especially my feet? By the way, I wrote down what is in your smoothie, and there are at least 17 ingredients. Okay, thank you for that. I mean, the biggest thing when it comes to stiffness is good hydration. Got to have clean water, because there's things, in my opinion, in our water that cause a lot of the stiffness. Hydrogen, absolutely. And movement, whether it's stretching, walking, really avoiding things that are high in sugar, like avoid sugars and a lot of carbohydrates. Not all carbohydrates. Like, I'll give you an example. This comes up a lot. That's why I'm going to bring it up as an example, is bread. How many of you buy bread? I'll tell you right now, I don't buy bread. I don't buy any bread. I never buy a loaf of bread, because if you look at the ingredients in them, gosh, there's so many ingredients in there, many of which I'm not fond of. And what I do use as a carbohydrate, and you'll see it in some of my meal ideas, is just steamed rice. It's just one ingredient. It's just steamed rice, usually organic. Typically, I try to get it Japanese rice, because the Japanese farmers are masterful at growing rice. But avoid the sugars, the garbage foods, the processed foods, and obviously overcoming nutritional deficiencies. Getting really good sleep is so important. Sleeping at the good hours and sleeping enough is extremely good. I think, feeling happy, of course, and good relationships and being in love. And I don't know, I know that sounds silly, but those are always good for the body. The body responds well to such things. And lots of fiber. I know that sounds crazy. Here's the problem. A lot of people don't have enough bowel movements. I know I don't want to bring this subject up, but constipation is a big problem for people. You're supposed to be having 2 to 3 healthy bowel movements a day, which is pretty shocking for the average person. They don't realize you're supposed to have that many. And fiber sweeps the colon, really helps with the detoxification process. Now there's data showing that it helps with leaky gut and the detoxification of the brain. So all these things are really important to keep things moving, and for stiffness, because otherwise what happens is when you get leaky gut, which a lot of it is caused by ibuprofen, a lot of it's caused by, what was the other thing? Well, the pesticides and just garbage stuff in our food, things of this nature. And then if you have leaky gut and then you eat something, I hate to say it, but you eat something like pork or some type of meat, because you know how dirty, even how dirty chicken is. I mean, you can't even touch the counter and then touch anything else because potential salmonella. And this stuff through your GI system. By the way, they shown that vegetables really help protect from leaky gut, and hydrogen, in my opinion, big time. And then if you start leaking the stuff into your blood, and blood is going all over your body, obviously. I mean, life is in the blood, so you got to keep your blood really clean. I'm really big on keeping the blood clean, and that's just, in my opinion, it causes more stiffness. So I don't know if that answers your question, but clean hydrogen, hydration, and hydrogen water, I think very important for such a thing. Martine says parasites and yeast. Yeah, I mean, another reason, I found a study for hydrogen appearing to bring down the amount of parasites in the body. That was really good. A lot of the food I eat, almost everything in this smoothie, I did a video on this before too, is basically anti-parasitic. So I have an anti-parasitic diet. In my opinion, I'm drinking anti-parasitic water. You have to remove the parasites from your water too. No water filtration system will do that. No reverse osmosis, no carbon filters, no refrigerator filters, no gravity filters. Nobody removes all parasites, bacteria, and viruses from the water, except for carbon distillation, which is why that's one of the reasons I do it. It's the cleanest water, and it removes all these pathogens because I don't want to be bringing them into my body. And then when you start having things like the sugar and too many breads and all this stuff, more and more yeast and parasites, yada, yada, yada. So hopefully that answers the question. Susan Heedman says, thumbs up. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, we got 15 of them now. Thank you. Okay, Martine says, oh, please do. And keep it on YouTube. Don't delete it. I'm confused. Please do what? All right, guys. I should probably go soon. I'm almost done with the smoothie video. Hello, everybody. Somebody was saying, we never see your face anymore. It's just hard to read from this far away in the angle. Oh yeah, about the products, yes. I'll be doing something like that. This is embarrassing, isn't it? Somebody was making a comment about this apron, and I gotta say, it's too small. It's not even mine. You know, but yeah. I'll try to do that video in the very near future. I'm actually gonna be really busy for about a week, and then I'll try to do the video again soon. Let's see. Martine says, really? I don't know which part she's talking about. Probably, like I said, I'm really big on overcoming the parasite thing. Maintaining proper body weight actually is very important too. As crazy as that sounds, I was really surprised when I saw the research showing that when you're overweight, it confuses the body. So confusing your own biology, I mean, this is pretty wild. So it appears the body responds as if it's been under attack of some sort. So it starts sending inflammatory signals randomly all over the body and creating stiffness and inflammation. And then she said about the apron. Yeah, people have made some comments. Some people think it's funny. Some people think it's silly. Some people even said that it's nice to see a guy in the kitchen. So, but yeah, it's really short. That, like I said, this one's not. I'll have to get one for me that says like, I don't know, the Hydrogen Man or something. I don't know, something. I'll just have to find something. I actually really like the aprons because they have pockets and you can wipe your hands on them and they're great. Okay, Barbara says, thank you. So, I mean, you guys really get to see it, you know, live, me showing you my morning routine. Other than the hydrogen, I don't turn on the camera for that because I wake up and I brush my teeth and I drink hydrogen water and, you know, my little morning routine. So I don't turn on the camera for that part. But Martine says, could you tell me about the mushrooms again? So basically, let's see if I can find, let me see if I can find you the link for one of the products. And also, let's see if I can find that. I think it's hman.petclub247. What a name, huh? .com. Let's see if that's right. Let's see if that, oh, it is right. Okay, so here, let me go grab the product. I'll show you what it looks like. This stuff is really incredible, actually. This actually is also from Japan. I tell you, the Japanese come up with the best stuff. I'll just bring my whole bag of tricks here. In fact, I'm actually gonna put my hemp parts back in the refrigerator. This is supposed to be refrigerated. When you're not using them. Okay, let's see here. Of course, anytime I have a chance to inhale my hydrogen, I will always be inhaling my hydrogen. Okay, so if you don't like to eat mushrooms, like there's some people, and this is also appears to be extremely good for your immune system, but you want your immune system working properly. The one thing that almost nobody has done research on, and I believe that when they do, they're going to see something really interesting actually, because I believe personally, it's like almost one of my protocols, using hydrogen with mushrooms. Now this particular product, Coriolis versicolor is a type of mushroom, but this is what it looks like. It's a green bottle. They also have a yellow one. And this product is actually technically supposed to be for animals, right? And it's supposed to be for animals, but they found the benefits being so unbelievable. And it's a specific extract during a certain part of the growth of a specific mushroom from Japan that's very powerful. And you can find it at, somebody can type it in there for people, but it is hman, so HMAN petclub247.com. Who's gonna remember that? I can't believe I remembered it. I guess my brain is kind of sharp. So yes, very good for your immune system. In my opinion, going to be really good for either preventing cancer or even if you potentially have it. I'm not making any claims, but that's what I would be personally using it for. And really good even for cognition, in my opinion. This is all based on data on mushrooms, specifically these kind of mushrooms. So Okay, that's one thing. Let's see, somebody's saying something. So hopefully that answers your question, Martine. If it doesn't, let me know. Tom Borland says, I ordered my water distiller. I use your code. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We'll have the hydrogen machine vacuum lid and Vitamix. I'm very serious. Wow. Thank you for the inspiration. Awesome. Yeah, that's one of the products I forgot to mention too, is the vacuum blender, which I really like. Today I had to use the other one because I just needed more smoothie, and the other one's a little small, and when you share it with people, it just changes things. But if it's just for you or two people, I mean, honestly, I can taste the difference. The vacuum blender one tastes like fresher and just cleaner and less oxidized. I totally prefer the vacuum blender. I just hope, well, actually, they say they're going to make a bigger one. Once they make it bigger, I'll be using that every time. Okay, Helen says, I've heard about Pet Club products. I've been using the Rye mushroom products. I think I'll try Pet Club. Yeah, I like it. I have them here. I've used them. I've known people who use them, and I'm a fan. This one's different. This one I do also use Leotrol B17, but I usually just eat the actual apricot seeds. In fact, I'll just have some right now. More good fats. You know, I get most of my fats from the nuts and the seeds, avocados, things of that nature. And this is something that you wouldn't want to take too much of either. Life is all about balance. Okay, Elaine, I want to try the Purium shake, but I don't always do well with grains. I don't know if you're on hydrogen, but a lot of people have mentioned to me, and there's one that comes to mind, this woman who had serious problems with grains. And she got on the hydrogen water, did a really good protocol because it's been ruining her life over like 30 years, like 3 decades or something. And the hydrogen totally fixed up her gut issues, and then she was able to eat good, healthy food again. Have you see anyone having a problem, or is there a grain-free alternative? Can you see? I can see it is for the fiber, so maybe not. I mean, honestly, I would just try it. It's funny that, I mean, I understand people having issues with grains, but I don't know how healthy you eat or other stuff. You know, like there was a person that I knew. He literally, the only thing he could eat, you want to believe this? Check this out. This is true. The only thing he said he could eat was fried chicken. That was it. That was the only thing his body, the only thing that agreed with his body was fried chicken. He couldn't eat anything else. Couldn't eat, you know, oatmeal or healthy grains, vegetables. That's when you know you have a problem with your body. And in my opinion, you got to get clean water, because what if there's something in your water that's affecting you? And get on hydrogen. Those things, I've seen those transform gut health so much. So anyway, that's my opinion on that one. Martine says, thanks. Where can I find your codes? Probably on some of my videos. The live videos, I never have time to put all the codes in there. I just went and tried to do that the other day. All my codes are always Uprising 144K pretty much. That's always the same code. And I don't know if that would answer your question, but a lot of the videos, it's in the description area. So it should be there. You can let me know for which product if you want, or what website. But you know what? I appreciate that, guys. I mean, you guys are really trying to support what I'm doing here. And you know, if there was more funding, I probably would be able to invest more in the channel. But right now I'm looking to do, I don't know. Okay, I find it. Oh, great. I'm really trying to decide what to do next with the channel, because maybe you guys can give me some input. I've been trying to figure out how to, I want to bring more information about health for you guys, but some people have mentioned that they only want, like, they're like, on this channel, I only want, you know, they only want to hear about hydrogen. It's like they don't want to hear about anything else. And although I'm a huge fan of hydrogen and love hydrogen, truly magical, but I'm gonna grab a little more smoothie. You know, you have to do other things too for health, you know. And I wanted to go to Japan, actually, there's a lot of things I want to share about health, in Japan. And I wanted to share that with my viewers, but I've been debating, and here's where I would maybe your guys' input or whatever. I've been debating about either putting that on this channel or opening up a new channel. Elaine says, thank you for answering my questions. I am just getting started and ordering the distiller and hydrogen machine. That's where I would start. Clean water, clean, properly made hydrogen. I've seen wonders when, I don't even like to tell this story to people because then they try it. But basically, I knew somebody who, they didn't want to change their lifestyle at all. Wanted to continue to go to restaurants, everything else. But the 3 things that he did that really changed his life: clean water, hydrogen, and walking. He would just go for walks. And that combination, and then he just lived his life. He would drink, alcohol, he'd go to restaurants, have cheeseburgers, have beer, got off all high blood pressure medicine, all cholesterol medicine. His diabetes went away. He actually did lose weight. Inflammatory markers went down. Arthritic pain went away. I mean, it was pretty amazing. And the reason I don't like to say that story is because I think that if he was to add a healthy lifestyle, which he actually did start implementing more and more as the years would go on, you'd get even better results. So, my opinion. Do you have a video about parasites? Oh my gosh, I've had so many videos I've made about parasites. Haven't you guys seen those? The Japanese have literally, I believe, the #1 museum in the world in doing research on parasites. The things they do to your body, guys, unbelievable. Look, if you want to get proper absorption of nutrients, you got to bring the parasite numbers down because they live all over your body at different stages. So pretty much everybody has eggs in their lungs, all right? And this is how smart these parasites are. You get them out of your body like through your GI system, or bring a lot of them, out of there, because they love when they're full grown, they like to be in your GI because that's where all the food's coming in. And this is why they cause further nutritional deficiencies. They literally will be eating away at all your nutrients before you even get them. Yes, I do believe they're on YouTube. Though YouTube has removed a lot of my videos, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're there though. Oh yeah, that's been the biggest problem. Because when I show people how to get rid of parasites, I believe YouTube did take those videos down. Because I can't talk about it. The products that I've used, I will say, are made for, again, I'm not making any claims, and I'm not even giving you any advice. What I have done is I use certain products that were made for animals, and you have to do a lot of research to figure out how to use them. The cycle of parasites, which is about a 3-month cycle. So this is so crazy. I don't know how they're communicating somehow in your body, because if you clean them out of your GI system, which I've done and I've seen them, they're so smart. Somehow the eggs in the lungs will get released, and then they somehow will go through the bloodstream. They'll go, I don't know how they find their way back into your GI system, and they hatch all over, and they do the whole process again. So by learning about how they work, I created my own protocols. I don't know anybody who's ever created these, but I created a 3-month cycle protocol and an anti-parasitic lifestyle to bring down those numbers. Maybe, that could be why I'm absorbing nutrients also on such a crazy level, because almost everybody, I would just say everybody has parasites. And if you've never done anti-parasitic cleanses, you probably have pretty high levels of them. If you've ever eaten pork, or if you eat meat on the regular, seafood, a lot of them, that's where they're at. Not to say that they can't be in a vegetable or something, but usually the ones in meat, specifically pork, they have a different type of parasite in pigs. It's the reason I don't like to eat them. Martine says, that's fine. I am from Europe and we do the same thing. Yeah, so, the anti-parasitic lifestyle for me is, one, I got to eliminate it from my water in the first place. Otherwise, you continue to bring it and introduce it into your body. And so obviously that's the carbon distillation. Then hydrogen, because not only did I find research about it, and it's good for so many other things, but it appears to be really good for keeping used vet products. Yeah, and you better know what you're doing. Be very cautious. I wish I could tell you guys the information, but I just can't. And then people try to email me about it, and that's fine. It's just that it's very time consuming for me to go over an entire protocol. That's where I probably would have to charge. It's very time consuming and robs me from me being able to do my normal work. And so this anti-parasitic lifestyle that I was talking about, so the clean water, the hydrogen, and then a lot of anti-parasitic foods. Do research on anti-parasitic foods. You're going to be surprised when you look at the foods on there, because so many of them are in my smoothie. So I eat a lot of anti-parasitic foods. Cindy says, you look younger than you did last year. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, I tend to go for not necessarily trying to look younger or anything else. I know I learned throughout my life that the more I go after the health aspect of things, the more that, you know, you just lose weight and your skin gets better. I mean, that's been always the comment. I don't know why that always happens. Always when I'm in a sauna, probably because all my clothes are off. But people are always commenting about my skin. And, you know, I was telling you that story about that guy. He's just like, it's funny, only funny because I do get a kick out of it sometimes, you know, when they talk about age, because I get a lot of people. I remember this one doctor in a sauna was, you know, saying, oh, someday you'll understand, you know, you get older. And I don't know why people always say things like that, but people always say stuff like that. I just had somebody else say that too, actually, day before yesterday. And then I never really like to talk about age, but then I was like, what is your age? And then when they tell me, I'm like, oh, you know, and it turns out that I was actually older than them. And I remember that story. I think I shared that on one of my YouTube videos. It was actually really funny, just because it's fun to see people's reactions. That's actually the funny part. But thank you. That's a very kind comment. But I will say, look, we all age. At this time, there's no stopping it because I mean, you can slow it down. You can clean your blood. You can do certain anti-aging things, but you can't just stop aging. And the reason is because it's actually programmed into our body. It's funny because in ancient scripture or in the Bible, for example, it talks about how, quote unquote, God limited us to 120 something years. And if you look at the data, nobody's going to make it past 120 something years. And that's just because there's a design embedded within this body. Though personally, and I won't go into a ton of detail on it, I believe I might have found a way to potentially overcome that. And oh, Martine says, okay, but you can age well. And I agree with that. Completely agree with that. You can age well. You know, there's people like Clint Eastwood. I don't know if you guys know, he's like really into health, taking really good care of himself. He's almost 100 years old. I mean, he looked really good all the way till like his 70s. I think he started looking more frail into his 80s and 90s, but I mean, that's great. You know, he did great. And that's about all we can do right now. But I will say, you know, life, to me, this body is the vessel in life. And I want this body's like kind of like a car. Who wants to be rolling around in like, you know, a hoopty car that's falling apart and hubcaps flying off and it's smoking and all this stuff? Or do you want to be rolling in, you know, a Rolls Royce or Ferrari, you know, or a nice SUV that's solid and strong and comfortable, or whatever, you know, whatever. Car's an analogy, but we got to live in this body. And that's the reason that you know, I'm not perfect or anything, but I try to do my best to have this body at its best, because I have to live in it every single day, all day. So, you know, want to keep all your teeth. You want to keep your eyes working. You know, you want to keep your body in a certain shape. So, you know, clothes are comfortable, because when clothes become too tight for me, they're very uncomfortable. And so just got to be comfortable. And if I don't drink like my smoothies, if I don't drink my water, if I'm not really well hydrated, I don't feel good. I feel weak and tired, and my head doesn't feel, you know, right. And, you know, and I don't like stress either. Humans fight too much. I don't get it. I wish everybody would work together and love one another and figure things out, but people fight too much, and that creates a lot of stress. Obviously, the world's in a crazy place right now, which is too bad, in my opinion, but I'm hopeful. Through hardship, hopefully will come good things. I think sometimes that's the nature of things sometimes. But I really appreciate all the kind comments. I really do. And I really appreciate all the support. And Martine says, I totally agree. I know it's like not the most complicated thing, is it? In fact, I was just I don't know. I guess I can tell you a story if you guys really want to know, because I was helping somebody with a project, and this poor guy he'll remain nameless, so nobody's gonna know who he is, but he's really sick. I mean, really sick. When I saw him, he pretty much can't walk, but he can barely get up. He tries to use some crutches and stuff, and I don't think he takes care of himself. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure he doesn't. I can tell just by looking at him. I thought he was way older than what he actually is. So that was one of those things, you know, but I feel really bad for him. And it's really hard because once you get past a certain point, it's really hard to change things around. And he actually made a comment about my age. I think he thought I was younger too. He's like, oh, someday you'll get it, you know. But he had had so many surgeries and bone degrading. And I do believe there's things that could be done for him. Absolutely. But I think he's going to go the convention. He is going the conventional route. You know, he's going to doctors. He's had, I think, already 5-6 surgeries, things of this nature. And, you know, it just really makes life hard, guys. It really makes life hard. And the more you hurt, oh, wow, look at all the thumbs up. I just realized you guys gave 17 of them so far. Thanks, guys. And, you know, it'll make you miserable. I know that already. I've been through that. When you're sick and your body isn't cooperating, it just makes you miserable, especially pain. It'll literally mess with your head. And I've known that. That's one of the reasons I had such a great compassion for him, because, you know, I understand what it's like to be hurting. But I don't know. I would like to say that it's never too late. But I don't think it's too late for this guy. I mean, he's only in his 60s. But yeah, he's having a really, really rough go at it. Dealt a bad hand, and you know, might even been a similar hand to mine, because he started having degenerative bones. Actually, my hand might have been worse than his. He has degenerative bone issues, and I think he had his first surgeries in his early 40s, and so many of them after that. And I had something similar back in my 20s. They were already observing bone degeneration. I was definitely headed down. I think I was headed down the same road that he was. And it was so horrible. And in order for me to really fight that has been, I mean, I guess you could say it hasn't been easy, but I think a lot of it has just been avoiding certain foods. My body must just be more sensitive, just like his is, to certain things. And so anyway, Helen says, I've been following this channel for over a year. Oh, thank you. And I must admit that when I follow the protocol shared by Greg, I feel so much more alive. Absolutely. Without being hydrated, I feel stuck and unmotivated. Absolutely. I'm telling you, hydrogen or just hydration, you know, clean water. I mean, you can hydrate with crappy bottled water if you really wanted to, but it's not something that I would want to do because the long-term effects of whatever's in these waters. But yeah, absolutely. Hydration is key. Hydration, and the thing that will change your life if your body can handle it and tolerate it, is fiber. Fiber and water, and obviously the hydrogen. Just those things, and overcoming nutritional deficiencies. I can never emphasize that enough. All right, guys, any last questions? I'm going to say goodbye. I got to move on with my day. I got so much stuff to do. We'll talk about more stuff later. Let me know what you think about some of the stuff I said about the whole possibly open up a new channel or just running with this one in regards to the Japan trip and all that. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time on the next one. It's live. All right, guys. See ya.